So we've all done it. We've earned the golden high ball, reared back to take our victory swing, and blasted the ball into the net, or maybe even over the fence. Now we know compact swings are important in the game of pickleball, but sometimes habits from other sports or even seemingly counterintuitive objectives keep us from making the swing to place the ball rather than trying to hit it as hard as possible. Now this can be a pretty complicated concept, but let's start with the basics. Pickleballs are hard, paddles are powerful, the court is pretty small, and our opponents are extremely close to us. These fundamental attributes of pickleball really reward the player who can place the ball accurately and efficiently. So a common habit with volleys is to take the paddle behind you and then swing all the way through. But the problem here is that now we've added a whole slew of angles to our stroke that really make the quality of the shot determined only by the timing of when that ball makes contact. Instead, we're gonna keep the paddle in front of us, and instead of thinking about hitting through the ball, we're gonna think about redirecting the ball's energy, which usually is gonna naturally keep the face more stable and make it easier to direct the ball straight across from us. Now, sometimes we are gonna be able to get away with taking a huge swing, blasting the ball down at our opponent, and feeling great about ourselves. But in the long run, a shorter, compact swing is all we really need to direct that ball with some pace, and it's gonna allow us to more consistently overpower our opponents without blasting the ball into the net or over the fence nearly as often. So we're gonna start with one of the most basic drills in pickleball. Grab a partner, stand across from one another at the kitchen line, and just hit some volleys back and forth, really focusing on putting the paddle behind the ball, but in front of your body, pushing forward. Now, I'm not so concerned right now if the ball even makes it over the net, but what I do wanna do is start to build the habits that are gonna create compact strokes that are really repeatable over and over and over again. So you might wanna turn it into a game. So sometimes a partner and I will try and get up to 50 or even 100 hits. I've never made it to 200, but I still believe in myself. We wanna really focus on pushing the ball with a small push towards our target and avoid using our wrist at the last second, which can often send the ball in another direction we're not intending and make it harder to control its flight. So we've talked about a basic volley drill that you can do with a friend to work on these concepts, but if you don't have someone, you can always just find a hard wall and practice these volleys against it and see how many you can get by yourself. In fact, if you're a beginner to this concept, having a wall that's very consistent and gonna send the ball back the same way over and over again may actually be the most helpful way to progress this skill to start off. Similar to volleys, it's vital to our dinking game that we make a compact stroke towards the ball, avoiding that big backswing, and keep the face of our paddle stable through contact. Leaning on some of the footwork that we learned in the last video, we want to immediately read the ball that's coming over to us, move to that spot, and just put the paddle behind where the ball's going to be. We want to really focus here on not taking a swing back, but just placing the paddle where we think our contact point's going to be. Now at that point, when the ball arrives, we've got our paddle, it's still, it's pointing towards our target, and a simple movement forward is gonna send the ball towards our target without much that can go wrong, as opposed to a swing that relies totally on timing of that contact point and could send the ball maybe towards our target, but very likely somewhere else along that swing path. So now that we've simplified our dinking stroke, we can start to explore the concept of beating the ball to the spot. Now, when we beat the ball to the spot, we're actually moving and putting our paddle in place of where the ball is going to be before the ball gets there. So that requires us to read the ball's travel, but if we do this effectively, then we have a few options. We can wait and pause and either lift the dink right over to our opponent's feet, we can push the dink out wide and move our opponent around, we can even speed the ball up, or we can lob. This stillness or this pause that's created by beating the ball to the spot is going to give us a whole slew of options we did not have available to us before with a swing. Now, regardless which one of these options we choose, it's still important to find that pause position right behind the ball for a few reasons. One, similar to volleys, if we start with a pause right behind the ball and keep our face stable through contact, there's very little that can go wrong, and we can at least guarantee contact that's solid and sending the ball in a similar trajectory to the one we initially planned. When we start from the same position every time, we also open up the opportunity for deception. The opponent doesn't know whether we're about to speed the ball right up at them, dink to them, or even lob over their head. As an important note here, we want to minimize the use of our wrist on these shots, especially dinks, as it's adjusting our paddle face and our power at the last second, and it's a little harder to control. Instead, I want to focus on using our shoulder and our elbow to make these movements, as moving them keeps the paddle face stable through contact, allowing for a much more consistent shot. Let's move into drill to work on these concepts. So grab a partner, both stand at the opposing kitchen lines, and we're gonna start with simple dinks. Now what I want you to focus on here is moving to where you think you're gonna make contact with the ball immediately. Be on the hunt for that elusive pause before contact, but start with really simple lifts. So no backswing, only lifting the ball with the minimum effort needed to get the ball over the net. Once you start to find some success lifting the ball back and forward to your partner, start to add some movement to the ball, moving your partner back and forth, and they'll do the same for you. And then eventually add some topspin and backspin to the ball. But through all of this, make sure not to be taking large backswings here and still hunting for that elusive pause. Pickleball is a fast game, and we often are relying on our reaction time to make decisions at the last second. With that being said, you're probably gonna still take some large swings at times or find yourself stretched out, making a big backswing on a dink, and notice that the ball's not going where you want to. The important thing is that you recognize when that happens, so on the next one, you can focus on finding that simple, put the paddle behind the ball stroke that's sending the ball where you want it to go. And you can use the drills we talked about today to build that muscle memory so that you can incorporate compact swings into every aspect of your game. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or are looking for more tips or product reviews, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you're interested in any pickleball gear or want to just learn more about what's out there, check us out at pickleballcentral.com.